Welcome to another exciting chess video. Today we're going to be talking about a pretty important concept that a lot of newer players don't fully appreciate, and that's just because they don't have like the foundation about it. But that changes today. We're going to be talking about space in chess, okay? Space, territory, whatever you want to call it. How to play with space advantages and space disadvantages. This is a game I played as black, and I might have shown this game on the channel already, but we're just gonna take just this middle game and talk about just space, okay? Space is basically every square you can put your pieces, okay? That's not covered by your opponent. And space is mostly determined by the pawn structure. Because if you put a piece in front of a pawn, the pawn can just take the piece. Even if you take the pawn back, that's still really good for the side who just took your piece with their pawn, right? So my opponent controls like all of these squares with his pawns. Not that square. And then he has a couple pieces that control a lot of other squares. I should maybe make this a different color. Like the bishop controls these squares. That's a lot of space. I control this square right here is pretty contested. Um, I control these squares, and then I kind of control these squares with my pieces. But as you can see, and then those are squares we control with pawns. Like every square, behind that is like also part of our space, right? So like not only am I controlling these squares, I also like have this square, all of these squares, blah blah blah. The point is he has way more space than me. Way more space. When you're playing with the space disadvantage, you want to look for pawn breaks to try and open up some lines to get all your pieces out. Or what you can do is you trade pieces, and that way it's less cramped, right? There's less cooks in the kitchen. If it's a small kitchen, you want fewer cooks. There's fewer cooks in the kitchen. I had a grammar mistake. Stannis from Game of Thrones would correct me on that for sure. Okay, so he is going to grab space with this pawn. Now he's grabbing so much space. And as you can see, I am just trying to get castle to get safe, but he just keeps grabbing more and more space. I play this pawn to try to like stop attacks, and he is going to use his space to his advantage. I try to trade these pieces off to give myself a little bit more breathing room, and he just won't let me. He is fully clamping down on my position. Now my position is so cramped, and you could see, even though material is equal, he's at 1.1 advantage on the eval bar because my pieces are cramped and he has so much more space. Even with these trades, got a couple trades in. I got a little more breathing room now, but these trades benefit him still pretty well. He's got a lot of space, and now he's just going to take more space. I try to trade this bishop off. Don't do it yet. Trade this knight off. And now he goes bishop to f6. Attack with this right here, right? Which would win the exchange. But this is a mistake because it allows me to equalize the game by sacrificing the rook, right? And this is a pretty lame the rook moment. But it makes all the difference. Now I have solved all of my space disadvantage problems, right? All of my space disadvantage problems are gone. I traded off every single one of his attacking pieces. I sacrificed my rook to get rid of the bishop and that pawn, and now I have the space advantage after I play this pawn, right? His queen moves out of the way, and look how much more space I have on the board than he does now. Look at how advanced my pawns are. And you shouldn't just advance your pawns willy-nilly. You need to protect your king and stuff like that. But look at all this space I have. I have so many more spaces for my queen, rook, and bishop. Right? And he does not have all that many good squares for his rooks and his queen. Right? He could put this rook doesn't have very many good prospects. After it might go here, and then what's it doing? This rook can go along this file, but then what's it doing? This rook actually can go over here and be a little stronger. But I mean, as you can see, like I've got this space advantage. Now I capture this pawn, opening up attacks on his king. This apparently is a blunder. Um, but now I just make a couple trades. I have to give up that pawn, but I take this pawn back, and as you can see, I use my space advantage to open up the board advantageously, and end up winning the game off of this tactic. Um, so that is just kind of a quick example on space, and I'll try to come up with more examples, maybe from some players that are rated over 1,000. Um, but as you can see, let's go back to the middle game. As you can see here, right? Uh, he clamped down on my position, and I just had to basically trade all of his pieces off and eventually sacrifice my rook in order to finally break out and get the space I needed. So he didn't fully convert his space advantage, and I managed to actually break out and turn the game to my advantage because I understood how to play with a space disadvantage. And now after watching this video and seeing this example, you will be able to play with a space disadvantage and break out and turn the tide on your opponent.